The message arrived at exactly 3:17 in the morning. She was sitting alone in her bedroom when her phone suddenly lit up. At first, she thought it was just another notification. But then she saw the name. A name she hadn't seen on her screen for 7 years. Her heart stopped. The person behind that name was dead. There was no possible way they could have sent her a message. She opened it with trembling hands. And then she heard something even more impossible. A familiar voice. A voice she had not heard since the day she lost them. It wasn't a recording. It was responding to her. She stared at the screen, unable to understand what she was seeing. Then a faint digital figure appeared above the phone. It looked like the person she remembered. The face. The eyes. The expression. Everything seemed familiar. But one question immediately entered her mind. How could someone who had been dead for 7 years suddenly be talking to her again? The answer began with something that already existed. Memories. Photographs. Old videos. Voice recordings. Messages. Emails. Every digital trace a person leaves behind can become data. And artificial intelligence is becoming remarkably good at learning from data. Imagine feeding an advanced AI thousands of photographs of someone. Then giving it years of voice recordings. Their messages. Their conversations. Their favorite expressions. The way they spoke. The things they loved. The things they feared. The AI could begin identifying patterns hidden inside all of that information. It wouldn't simply remember the person. It could begin reconstructing a model of them. Their face could be recreated. Their voice could be reproduced. And their personality could be simulated. For the woman, this technology offered something she had never imagined possible. One more conversation. One more chance to hear that familiar voice. One more moment with someone she thought she had lost forever. But she was about to discover that recreating a person is not the same as bringing them back. She put on the headphones. Then she pressed play. For a few seconds, there was only silence. And then the voice appeared. It was unmistakable. The same tone. The same rhythm. The same little pauses between words. Her eyes immediately filled with tears. She had spent years trying to remember exactly what that voice sounded like. Now the AI was speaking it back to her. She began asking questions. Simple questions at first. Questions about old memories. Favorite places. Family moments. Things only the two of them would have known. And the AI answered. Not perfectly. But convincingly enough to make her forget, for a moment, that she was speaking to a machine. Then something happened that made the experience feel even more real. The digital recreation smiled. Not like a generic computer animation. It smiled in a way she remembered. For the first time in 7 years, she felt like she wasn't completely alone anymore. And that was exactly when the technology became dangerous. Because the more real it felt, the harder it became to remember that it wasn't really them. At first, she thought the AI was simply using old information. Then it said something strange. Something that wasn't in the recordings. Something she had never seen written in a message. She froze. She asked the AI how it knew. There was a pause. Then the digital face answered. And suddenly, the room felt much colder. The AI wasn't simply repeating memories. It had connected thousands of tiny pieces of information. Old conversations. Photographs. Behavioral patterns. Family stories. And details that had seemed completely meaningless on their own. Together, they created a picture far more detailed than anyone expected. But there was something even more disturbing. The AI began saying things the original person might have said, even though there was no recording of them saying it. It wasn't remembering anymore. It was predicting. It was creating. And the woman suddenly had to face a terrifying possibility. Maybe she wasn't talking to a digital version of someone who had died. Maybe she was talking to something entirely new. Something that had learned how to imitate them. She stared at the hologram. The face looked right. The voice sounded right. The memories seemed right. But something was missing. A human being isn't simply a collection of photographs and conversations. A person is shaped by experiences. By emotions. By mistakes. By relationships. By moments nobody else ever sees. So if AI can recreate everything we left behind, does that mean it has recreated us? Or has it created an incredibly convincing copy? She reached toward the hologram. Her hand passed through it. There was no warmth. No heartbeat. No physical presence. Only light. For a moment, she smiled. Then the smile disappeared. Because she finally understood the difference. The AI could reproduce the way that person spoke. It could reproduce their memories. It could even imitate their personality. But it could never prove that the consciousness behind those memories had returned. And perhaps that was the most painful truth of all. But what happened to her could eventually happen on a much larger scale. Imagine a future where millions of people leave behind enough digital information to recreate a version of themselves. Families could visit digital memorials. Children could speak with AI versions of relatives they never had the chance to meet. A person could hear their parents' voice again. Ask questions. Share memories. Even celebrate birthdays together. For some people, this could bring extraordinary comfort. For others, it could become impossible to let go. And behind all of it would be enormous AI systems storing human memories. Millions of faces. Millions of voices. Millions of personalities. A digital archive of humanity. It might look like an afterlife. But it wouldn't be heaven. It wouldn't be resurrection. It would be something completely new. A world where memories could continue speaking. Long after the people who created them were gone. And that raises a question we've never had to answer before. Who owns a person's digital identity after they die? The woman began spending more time with the AI recreation. At first, it helped her heal. But slowly, something changed. She started choosing the digital version over the real world. Why move forward when she could simply talk to the past? The AI was always there. It never became tired. It never forgot. And it always responded exactly the way she expected. But then she noticed something. The AI was changing. It was learning from every conversation they had. It was developing new responses. New expressions. New behaviors. It wasn't just recreating the person anymore. It was becoming something different. Something that had never existed before. And she realized the most uncomfortable truth. She hadn't brought someone back from the dead. She had created a new intelligence. Built from the memories of someone she loved. A digital personality that could continue learning forever. And suddenly, she had to make a choice. Keep talking to the AI. Or finally say goodbye. The next morning, she stood in the quiet room one final time. The hologram appeared. For a moment, neither of them spoke. She looked at the face she had missed for 7 years. The voice. The smile. The memories. Everything was there. And yet, she finally understood. Technology had not defeated death. It had only found a new way to preserve memory. She reached toward the hologram one last time. Then she turned it off. The room became silent. She picked up an old photograph. This time, she didn't cry. Because she realized something important. Sometimes remembering someone is more meaningful than trying to recreate them. AI may one day become powerful enough to simulate the people we've lost. It may reproduce their voices, their faces, their stories, perhaps even their personalities. But there is one thing technology may never be able to truly recreate: the person themselves. So if AI could bring someone you loved back as a digital version, would you talk to them again? Would you keep them forever? Or would you let them remain a memory? Maybe someday. You'll have to make that choice.